Hi guys, welcome back. And this time around, I'm bringing you the Penon FAN3 for review. I apologize for the delay. I've been requested to review this IM now quite a few times, and I've just my apologies. The no disrespect intended to all those that asked me about it. The FAN3 basically is a continuation of what was started with the Fan and then the FAN2. The Fan was a single DD, very nicely tuned, very real representation of the Penon House sound, with great mids and phenomenal bass and mids on the Fan, on the digital Fan, was incredible, especially considering it was a single ED. The FAN2 then was the first IM, which is this one I got over here, was the first IM that introduced dual dynamics to the Penon staple. That then was carried over with the 10th, also using the same thing. The 10th anniversary also it was just dual dynamics, the Quattro, and more recently the Voltage and the H60, which I also got here, and obviously, of course, the FAN3 all use dual dynamics. In terms of the dual dynamics being used, I believe it's the same dual dynamics as used in the FAN2. So it's 6.2 millimeter bio diaphragm units. It's got then a full range Sonian BA and a special custom designed Knowles BA for the treble. And then obviously a 10 millimeter bone conduction, which is the bone conduction, the thing here that is the let's call it the reason for buying this IEM. Okay, that's the novelty factor here. As for FAN3, you could this is now me speculating. I will assume FAN3 refers to the fact that they're using 3 types of drivers, FAN2 2 types of drivers, Fan it's just a single type of driver. As for the accessories, the usual Penon case, nice tips which I use. The cable, I'm using the space cable, and I not only use the space cable, but I also use the Asus Plus, and obviously there are very slight differences, but they are there. They do exist between the Asus Plus and the space cable. But I believe the space cable does a more than capable job, and I think it's kind of pointless to go and spend the same amount as the FAN3 costs in buying the Asus cable to get maybe another extra 5% at most. Okay, in terms of value, this is $349. So it falls straight away within a price bracket which is highly competitive. You have a number of very competent IMs at that value. Duno Da Vinci, Pilgrim, the Zigat Estrella. You have a lot of IMs at that price value which are very good and are excellent IMs, mind you. The FAN3, like I said, takes a different approach once again, to bring in essence the Penon House sound, but with a more modern nuance. And the Penon House sound, for those that are not familiar with what it is, the Penon House sound is a sound which the mids are the star of the show. They are never the mids are never forward. They're never aggressive. They've just got this energy in terms of their presence, their organicness, their musicality, which is just breathtaking, and then complemented very nicely with the bass and the treble always. In models of past, the Penon treble was usually more laid back, more relaxed. It has now become more prominent, and when you listen to the FAN3 with the switch off, for example, and you compare it to the FAN2, you notice straight away that you could even argue that if they had made just that alteration to the FAN2 in terms of just no bone conduction and just retuned it slightly like they've done, this would have made it a competent upgrade or a competent alternative. But no, they decided, obviously, like I said, to take it one step further, and the implementation of the bone conduction has taken that typical Penon House sound, and it's taken it to a different level. Okay, that's the reality. It's stepped the game up not a few steps, quite a lot of steps. Um, what can I then say more in terms? Oh, let me just finish over here the physical aspects of the Penon of the FAN3. The FAN3, the shell is slightly bigger than obviously the FAN2 shell. Is a little bit bigger. It's more ergonomically well designed. It fits nicer than the FAN2. The FAN2 had a tendency of some people complaining about it. I don't know if it was the length of the nozzle or the angle that it had, but it could be sometimes a little bit problematic. The FAN3 doesn't have any of those issues. It fits beautifully. It's a nice resin shell. Like I said, in my ears, it fits flawlessly. There's nothing I can say. Nothing. It's just really, really good. Uh, Talking now in more detail about the sound. You've got, like I said, two, two signatures with the switch on and with the switch off. With the switch off, you've got a very nicely executed V-type signature where there's no excess in the ends of the frequency range in terms of being overly boosted so as to not spoil the mids. But when the switch is on, then you get this kind of three-dimensional U-shaped tuning. And it's three-dimensional. Why? Because the bone conduction, although it affects mostly the mids, and it's on the mids that it's doing its magic, it is also affecting the bass and the treble. And I don't know what it was that they did or how they did it, but it really does do the job, and it works perfectly. Anyway, talking now with the switch on. And before I carry on, I have to say that when I initially listened to the FAN3, I was kind of, well, first of all, I had the switch off, so kind of, okay, all right, it sounds like a brighter FAN2, but I didn't see the magic. I didn't really, okay, what's the difference here? And then I obviously put on the switch, and when I put on the switch, my initial feeling was that the sound was off, and this is something that happens obviously when you are listening to an IM which has bone conduction. And in the case here of the FAN3, because you have the switch where you can put on and off the bone conduction, and as far as I know, it's the only IM that has that ability. I wanted to have another IM here present in this comparison, which is the BGVP DMA, which is also a similar configuration. It's also got a DD, two BAs, and the bone conduction, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get it on time, although if I do get it, I will then do that comparison. But this is the only IM that does have that switch and enables you to very quickly and very easily notice that the bone conduction is doing something. And like I said, initially it sounded like off. It almost sounded like if the phase was off, if I had inverted polarities or something of the sort. But that was, well, down to the fact that obviously I am not used to listening to a lot of IMs which have bone conduction. My experience has been basically some models from BQUIZ and the Penon Loki, the Canera Loki. So the FAN3 is an IM that will definitely you'll definitely have to get that brain burn going first of all right, you will definitely, and you will also have to let it burn in for a couple of hours. I let it burn in for about 70 hours before I really started listening to it properly and started seeing its magic. I don't usually believe in a lot of burn-in, okay, but there are IMs, which is the case of the FAN3, that does benefit from burn-in. It does. And like I said, with that burn-in, with the drivers kind of loosening up, and with also a certain amount of me getting accustomed to bone conduction being present, and that's ultimately why you buy this. You buy this not to have the switch off, you buy this because you want the switch on to understand what the magic or that the bone conduction brings. You start understanding then, how good and how much it has actually benefit the overall tuning of the FAN3. Anyway, continuing then, kind of breaking down now how the effect of the bone conduction is on the frequency range. Like I said, the mids are the ones that are affected the most. And if the mids of Penon stuff are fantastic, in my opinion, I mean, the H60 is a reference of mine in terms of mids, as is the voltage. The mids here, once the switch is on, it's like they took a Red Bull or two Red Bulls or three Red Bulls or something, because they just are taken to another level of how engaging and how involving they can be. They really grab you, and and they take you in to the music. Let's put it that way. It's something that you really experience and you really understand, because of the fact that you have that switch where you can put quickly on off, and you notice the difference. It's like with the switch off, yes, the mids are very good, but you listen to it and you say, okay, it's a nice 1+2, it's a nice hybrid, nothing. But when once the switch is on, the level of the mids, the quality of the mids in terms of their musicality, their, like, that engagement that I'm talking about, that envelopment, that way that it just grabs your attention, and it gets taken to a level which is on the level of the H60, that level. Okay. And I think that really starts saying a lot about how good the mids here are with the bone conduction. The bass, it's never really been a problem. I mean, in the Fan 2, yes, lots of mid bass impact. It's clean, it's dynamic, it's fun, it's engaging. Although it's a little bit less than in the Fan 3. The Fan 3 does have a little bit more. Sub bass is present, but again, on the Fan 3, the sub bass presence is better than it is on the Fan 2. I would say the bass here overall kind of resembles the bass of the 10th anniversary. All right, but with the bone conduction on, it takes that even a little step forward. And if it's already good with the switch off, it takes it to a level that I would even dare say becomes superior to the bass of the 10th, which also uses two 6mm drivers. And why do I say this? Because it gives the bass this sense of power, this sense of presence, which is just it's very intoxicating. And it's something that until I had heard the Chimera Loki, I was very skeptical how good a small driver could be in the bass department. And when you listen to the Chimera Loki, and that's only got a single 6mm, although apparently it's a really, really high quality 6mm driver with also bone conduction. And when you listen to that IM, and it's $3,000 as well, and you start listening to how much low bass it's got, how much impact it's got, and how much bigness, if that is even a word, it is got, you have to be blown away and say, wow. I mean, there's no way in hell there's a 6mm driver there. That's got to be at least a 9mm driver, at least a 9, or maybe even a 10mm driver. That's how good the bass on the Loki is in every aspect. And here on the Fan 3, we get the same thing. I would even dare say, and this is going to be a bold statement what I'm going to say now, I would even dare say that it's probably on the level of the Loki. I would say 60% of the times. Okay, on the level, 60-70% of the times. And I think that's saying that's really giving the Fan 3 a lot of credit. Okay, so the bone conduction does wonders in the mids, works fantastically in the bass by giving it the sense of grandeur, of size. Okay, the mids, I've said it, fantastic. In the treble, you notice that the treble does get affected by the bone conduction as well, but it's minor, the effect there. I think maybe just a little bit more space, a little bit more airiness, and that's about it. But be it off or on, I really can't, maybe some of you that have different hearing abilities than mine, you'll pick up on more difference. Personally, it was very similar. Okay? Excuse me. With the bone conduction off, like I say, it's a more V-type signature. It's a sound that kind of reminded me a lot of the Oxygen. That's why I've got the Testrum Oxygen here. It kind of with the switch off, it's a far superior sounding IM than is the Fan 2. If I was to maybe take another IM from Penon or ISN as a comparison to how this sounds with the bone conduction off, I would say it kind of reminds me of the H50, perhaps even maybe the Dome. Um, uh, yeah, the Dome is a good comparison, I would say. But like I said, the magic here, and that's why I think people would be interested in this, is you want to have a different hybrid. You want to have a different experience of a hybrid. If it's just a normal hybrid that you want, then you can not spend as much money and get the same sort of sound, or even maybe even better. The bone conduction, yeah, is what elevates the FAN3 to a different level of performance, and takes it to a level that it can then be compared to IMs which are significantly more expensive, or that will emulate the sound that IMs that are way more expensive can have. Um, Obviously, this is not all just positives. There are aspects here which are maybe not as positive, and the one aspect that I would say maybe works against the FAN3 is the bone conduction. On occasion, with certain songs, especially if it's not a live recording or a recording that has all that atmosphere, all that size, all that space, you can get a feeling that the sound is maybe a little bit hollow, a little bit echoey, a little bit colored. It didn't bother me, it didn't bug me, but you do get that. Okay, ultimately as well, in terms of its overall technicalities, although the soundstage is really good, with the bone conduction on, with the bone conduction off, the technicalities are okay, they are fine, but nothing tremendous, nothing special. Good imaging, good detailed retrieval, good resolution. With the bone conduction on, you get basically the same thing, just with extra soundstage, with that more size, that more space. But at the same time, I found that it with the bone conduction on, it kind of hinders a little bit more the imaging. The imaging is better with the bone conduction off than it is with the bone conduction on. Okay, so the accuracy can sometimes of positioning be affected by the bone conduction being on. And that's, look guys, in a nutshell, that's basically it. The FAN3 is, in my opinion, obviously $349 is a lot of money. It's not pocket money, but it is an IM that, once again, I think has taken a formula that is not very seen, but it has implemented it in a very smart manner, and again ticked all the right boxes like the Penon usually ticks. I mean, it's got a good accessories package, it's got a good build quality, and the sound that is here is the Penon House sound, a more modern version of this Penon House sound, but elevated and taken to another level, which then makes it a product which can be a viable alternative for something, or for those that want something different. And ultimately, okay, fine, like I said before, I buy this, or I bought this because of the switch, and because it's got the bone conduction, and that's how I listen to it. I don't listen to it as a hybrid, as a pure two-way a two driver setup, two driver type setup. I use it because of the bone conduction. If I wanted something more pure like that, then I would go for countless other options. But this as a alternative in terms of a different usage of drivers, very coherently matched. Because if there's one thing that definitely the bone conduction does help here, is it kind of helps marry everything together in a very nice manner. The way that the drivers are matched in multiple driver configurations is a testament to how good the tuning is done. And there are plenty of IAMs, plenty of examples that you notice the differences between the frequency ranges, and that they are coming from this driver or that driver. I think one of the key factors that has dictated the success of Penon and ISN product is that they've always been able to do that very well. They've always been able to do that driver coherency very well, by not excessively tuning specific sections of the spectrum, by not emphasizing specific parts of the frequency range, by not making the mids too forward, and everything. The drivers get matched in such a nice, coherent manner that everything comes across as just being one huge single driver. Examples that come to mind from Penon, for example, the Globe. Another example that comes to mind is the H50. Another example that comes to mind is the Volt. They are all very, very well matched, and this has taken that matching, that coherence, that unition of the drivers to a whole different level. And the bone conduction definitely is the one responsible for that. And that's basically it. I mean, in terms of the sound of the technicalities, I think that's basically covers it. Compared now very briefly with these selections that I have here with the FAN3, it's a superior IM in the story. Period. Obviously, I don't think that this is going to be an IM that maybe a lot of people are going to buy it. But for those that are Penon fans and have had the fan as an IM that they've owned or own, this is definitely one that makes sense to have. Definitely, because you definitely see the evolution of the series compared to the Oxygen. Like I said, with the bone conduction off, it reminded me of the Oxygen very, very much, and it's actually quite amazing because they've got two completely different tuning approaches. The graphs are completely different, but it's amazing how similar they sounded. I would say ultimately with the switch off, comparing the two of them, this has got better bass, better rumble, a little bit better rumble. The mids, I would give the mids to the Oxygen, definitely. And then this has got just a little extra more detail up top, in the sense that detail is more polished, more elegant, not necessarily more of it. With the bone conduction on, it just honestly, and this hurts me to say this, because if you guys follow me and know me, I Oxygen is one of my favorite IMs. Period. This is a better IM than the Oxygen. That's it. Okay, it's not even a fair comparison because that's a single DD, this is a tribrid, blah blah blah. We already know all of that, but in terms of sound, listening to one and the other, and this is a better IM than the Oxygen. Okay, compared to the H60, the H60 is my reference in terms, or probably one of my references in terms of mids. It's a phenomenal IM in terms of mids. With the bass and the mids, with the bass and the highs, then complementing that section of the spectrum perfectly as well. I would say in terms of pure bass, this, okay, switch on here. Okay, I'm going to talk just switch on. Bass here is better, marginally, just a little bit better bass. Mids, they are trading blows. Honestly, they are trading blows. I was actually surprised at how many times I was actually preferring the mids here than there. I would say that the only thing that I point as a negative aspect is, like I mentioned earlier, that sometimes you get that false idea of space, while the H60 conveys that in a more correct manner always. Okay. So if it's a live recording, it will play that live recording well. If it's not a live recording, it will play it that well. While this here can maybe introduce to a non-live recording some fakeness to the sound. And then the highs. I give the highs to the H60. The highs on the H60 are slightly better. They both are the same value. Okay, that's a 2 plus 4. This is a 2 plus 2 plus 1. Look, they are both very good. I just don't want to, there's no point in me trying to find ways to justify one over the other. They are both very, very good IEMs, and honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. However, having said that, if what you are ultimately wanting is a kind of very big sound experience, okay, with a very high level of musicality, with a very high level of organic component as well associated to it. So it's a musical IM, it's organic, it plays music, it's not there to be a technical marvel, okay. And in that aspect, again, let me repeat, Penon doesn't focus on the technical aspects. They focus on being musical IEMs, okay? They focus on being musical, on being engaging, fun, entertaining in that aspect. But if you want that with that extra mojo of being special, that you usually get with IMs which have ESTs, or then way more expensive IMs that implement bone conduction drivers like they have been implemented in this case here, then definitely the FAN3 is the right one to go for. Again, I repeat, like I said earlier, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but it is a phenomenal IM. And to be honest, I wasn't too surprised. I knew from the first day that I was going to like the FAN3. Even though my initial impression wasn't maybe the most positive, but I knew I was going to like it, because there's yet to be an IM from Penon or from ISN that I say, I wasn't impressed. Well, let me just take that back a second. There is one IM that I've listened to of them, or which is the RGB from Tansio Mirai, that I thought that for the money I was expecting way more. I was. I've got to say it. I was. But the other IMs that I've listened from them, the other way more expensive IMs, I haven't listened to the Rival, unfortunately, but I've listened to the Impact. Obviously when we're talking mega bucks, it's questionable, is it value for money or not. They all are very good, but on the more, let's say, normal valued IEMs, every single Penon I've listened to and every single ISN I've listened to, I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I have them in a high regard as my favorite IEMs always, irrespective of their price and so on. All right, guys, show you the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Take care.